Hello, this is Joshua for Frost Dragon Designs, and today I'd like to talk to you about my Radiology Cat hard enamel pin. This pin is part of my More Cats Doing Science collection. The More Cats Doing Science pin collection features more than 35 designs of cats doing science and science-adjacent activities. Now let's get into the design. To start with, the Radiology Cat should probably have been called the X-ray cat or the chest X-ray cat, because that is really what this is. Now, yes, that is, part of radiology, but radiology is more of a all-encompassing kind of field, whereas a chest X-ray machine or doing chest X-rays is just one specific type of radiology. So I'm likely to rename this later because of that, because I'd probably like to add things like, a CAT scan. But Anyway, so when deciding what to do for this, I looked up what was the most common radiological procedure, and Google said that was a chest X-ray, which makes sense. It's probably a basic diagnostic thing when somebody comes in and says they're either having chest pains or they're having trouble breathing or their heart's doing weird stuff or whatever. I mean, I don't know, but I imagine that, chest X-ray probably is the most common radiological procedure. And so my thought was I wanted this pin to have the broadest appeal to radiologists. Now, having said that, and having seen that the science cats in general have a broad appeal, I am likely to do other types of radiology cats at some point in the future, especially, like I said, a CAT scan, because, well, it makes its own joke right there. So I did some little basic Google food looking, and then I also consulted with my cousin who happens to work in radiology, which was very helpful. And she gave me a lot of great information. She sent me a lot of fun reference pictures and explained kind of how this whole thing works, what the Bucky is and where they put the film, or I guess electronic sensor these days is not film anymore. But, and so that was hugely helpful. And anytime I can do one of these pins and actually talk to somebody in the field, it's really helpful to get their feedback. Just to make sure that I didn't make any silly mistakes, like, they're looking at it and they're like, this doesn't make sense. And she also gave me some really cool details that I got to add, like the little red and blue chips that the cat is holding. They're markers that are used to, signify left and right. They usually have L and R on them, and the radiological tech's initials as well. And they show up in the final imaging. And I think that that's really cool. And I thought that was a fun detail that I got to add that I would have had no clue about just from my Google searching. But, because I was speaking with someone who works in the field, they were able to clue me in on some of these details that I think really elevate the design and make it cooler and more special, in my opinion, and actually match, what it's supposed to be representing. Another thing that I just love about this design is all of the parallel lines that are in perspective. I love parallel lines. They're just fun, and things being in perspective gives me joy. I was also frustrated while working on it because of that, though, because the book that I use in every single one of these designs is not in proper perspective. So everything that I do has to be based off of the book because the book is visible. And everything has to have a slightly off perspective as a result of it. I basically have to eyeball it instead of measuring it. It's like in a parking lot when, one car parks crooked and the only space left is the spot next to it. So you have to park crooked, and then the next person has to park crooked. And then some people leave and they come out and they see your car just sitting there alone, crooked, and they're like, why is that crooked? And it's like, well, you don't understand. There were other factors at play when I had to design this. So I've kind of left myself this weird legacy of improper perspective because of I didn't fix the book on like the second pin design in the whole series that I did. So I just find that funny. That's just one of those odd little things. Also, I want to note that the order that I'm doing these videos in is not necessarily the order that I created the designs in. Although I do think that this design came very shortly after the marine biology pin design. And the two of those together kind of cemented something for me. And that was that it was okay to have wider pin designs. I went into More Cats Doing Science hoping that all of them would be 1.5 inches at their largest point. I didn't really want to go larger. That's kind of been a trend in my pins in the past year or two. Things are sneaking up on me and getting larger and larger and larger as I'm doing more details. I'm finding a lot of my pins are in the 2 to 2.25 inch range these days. And I had kind of told myself, no, put your foot down. There's no reason that these need to be bigger pins. But then the marine biology pin happened, and I was like, well, if I really want to have the whole scuba suit showing and then a sea turtle, it kind of needs to be wide. And then I got to this pin, and I was just like, the X-ray apparatus, the way it's structured, there's just no way to make that less wide without making it really small and out of scale with the cat. And so I was like, let go of that hope or that thought or that rule that you've put in place that they should be, 1.5 inches, and just be okay with them being bigger. Let them be as big as they need to be. And that kind of freed me up to make a lot of the other designs, reach their full potential of what they really could be. It kind of came back around to this thought of, don't put artificial limits on things. Just make them the best version of themselves that they can be. Anyway, if you've enjoyed seeing me design this pin, hearing me talk about some of the thoughts I had while working on it, please go ahead, like, and subscribe. I try to put out 1 or 2 new videos every week, and I would absolutely love to have you along for the next one. So thank you so much for your time, and have a great rest of your day.